Robert, how do you want to do questions?
Anybody who's ready for a question, please stand up and ask.
I think we can have it.
You all probably want to know, but too embarrassed to know, but too embarrassed to ask about what his daddy's bald egg head really looked like. Go ahead and ask the question. I wonder if Danny can tell us about Blue, the cornbread dog.
Cornbread dog.
I could, in fact. I, for several years, ran a farm supply business. I was a Southern States dealer, and we sold feed and fertilizer and a lot of dog food and such. And up in my neighborhood, people scuffle along and do the best they can to make a living. They cut timber, they keep cattle, they grow a few acres of cabbage, and do just what it takes. They're awful proud Virginians. So I'm standing in the store one night, and there are two men in there, not talking to me, I'm eavesdropping. They're talking to each other, and they're bitching about the price of dog food. And Cornbread Marshall says to Pete, well, you know, I just feed my dogs cabbage leaves. And Pete thought a minute and he said, you know, I don't believe my dogs would eat cabbage leaves. And Cornbread said, mine wouldn't either for the first 3 weeks.
Okay, we're going to start calling on people here now. You get one more chance, and we're going to call on.
I can take this for a second.
Okay.
Everybody here, I realize, is feeling shy about having 2 professional comedians on the stage and wanting to compete with them. It is very hard to do. It puts me in mind of my great-grandmother's story. Well, actually, she died long before. There's a story about my great-grandmother who used to pray for people who were out in Asia and Spasia and way out in Goochland, which is where I'm from, but that was as far away as she could possibly imagine being away from Richmond. But we have people who here can give us very amusing but also reasoned and intelligent answers to your questions about the partisan nature of our particular business. And I hope somebody out there will rise up before I have to call on people. Oh, here we have a question over here. Excuse me. Please speak as loud as you can, and they'll repeat the question.
First question is, if you were compelling people to vote, what would be the punishment for someone who didn't vote? And the second question is, who would enforce that?
Well, the first one's easy. They'd have to eat cabbage leaves. The second one is, I guess, dancing. I'm not sure. It's a very good question. You know, we were talking earlier about the fact that the Supreme Court had overturned part of the transportation bill that the General Assembly did last year. And of course, the reason for that was that it was done hastily at the end of the session, when a lot of mistakes are made when you draw up legislation hastily. And somebody said, well, there's a bill going in now about how do you close the polls when you have an ice storm. And 5 o'clock people can't get there, and they need 2 more hours to get there. and they got a bill in the General Assembly. Well, I hope it doesn't pass, because if we do it hastily, they'll do it wrong. So when you start talking about something serious like that, compelling people to vote, you got a lot of constitutional implications. The fact is that we should have everybody vote. The one good thing about the development this year with the presidential election, I think it's really a conspiracy of the media to hype the media, but the one good thing about it is elevated interest on both sides of the aisle, and there probably will be increased voter participation. I hate to think it's just this year and it won't sustain itself for the next 3 until we get back to another presidential year, but maybe there is an opportunity to inspire people to be more involved. They certainly do have a lot at stake, right?
You know, in a sense, I raised the question facetiously because I don't think we will ever go to that. But I raise it to make a point, too. And that point is this. We call ourselves a democracy, and we talk about majority rule. But the plain fact is, in my lifetime, a minority of the total registered or total eligible has decided every vote that I'm aware of. When we get 22, 25, 30% of the eligible voters deciding elections for all of us, then I think we're all diminished. I don't know how to make it any better, but I swear, if we can make people buy car insurance, if we can make them get their kids vaccinated, if we can make them get a dog tag, it seems we ought to give some thought to making citizens vote. I hate to say it that bluntly, but I don't know any other way to say it.
More questions? What do you see as the best way to get to a non-partisan district?
I think we had the perfect vehicle for that in the legislature this year. It got kicked over to another year. I think that is coming. Now understand, there is no such thing as pure nonpartisan. You know, we don't elect our judges because we don't want politics in the judicial process. Anybody believes that, I got some land I want to show you.
Barney's right about that. I think the bill this year was a good bill, although they weakened it when they, in essence, put it back to the Assembly to select the members of the commission or whatever. The fact is that politics has always been involved in redistricting. It's always been partisan to one degree or another. I think the best idea I heard was to make the bill effective in 2020 so that anybody that would be voting on it probably wouldn't have to worry about where they will be in 2020. And maybe that's a way to get it through the General Assembly. But we need to improve the process. On the other hand, if you look around the country, and they've tried a lot of different ways to improve the process, not all of them are much more successful. If you go to Iowa, which, you know, Iowa is sort of like having them all across the state. I mean, there's no diversity, there's no differences in Iowa. All places sort of the same. I guess it's all cornfields, I don't know. But anyway, it's not like Virginia. Virginia is very diverse, very unique. We have to comply with all sorts of federal laws. And so I would submit that, here again, whatever we do, we better do very carefully.